several host factors, including specifically the innate resistance of a particular host. Diba? Meron tayong sarili-sariling resistance. Some of them could be innate. And when we say virulence, this is the degree of pathogenicity. So there are certain agents which are highly virulent. There are certain agents which are low in virulence. Diba? So therefore, those organisms with low virulence has low pathogenicity. And those which are highly virulent have high pathogenicity. Okay? They are more likely to cause disease itong ating mga highly virulent organism. So virulent determinants of a pathogen is basically a combination of its genetic, biochemical, or structural features that enable it to produce disease. Again, combination of all its genetic factors. And that would also include the genes for antimicrobial susceptibility. Okay? The biochemical or structural features. For example, a particular organism could be more pathogenic if it has a capsule. If that particular organism would be devoid of capsule, then it is less pathogenic. It would be having low virulence. So again, even if the organism is present in the host, this cannot cause disease unless it has overpowered the host defenses. Kaya tayo, kahit na meron mahaching dyan, hindi nagkakaroon sakit because of our defenses. Kaya if we have an immunocompromised condition, then we are more susceptible to the disease or infection. So, what are the important factors that will be considered before a particular organism can cause disease? And first and foremost would be the portals of entry. We say portals of entry, basically this is where infection will start. Where the infection would enter the host to cause an infection. And a particular organism would utilize any of these different routes or routes of infection. It could be from the mucous membrane. So there are certain viruses, for example, that may utilize the mucous membrane, the conjunctiva, for example, to initiate an infection. Diba? We also have certain bacteria, such as Moraxella, that will utilize the membrane, including leptospires. Nagkukasa ng leptospirosis. So they will utilize the mucous membrane as the portal of entry as well. Okay? We also have the mucous membrane of the respiratory tract. Ibig sabihin, starting from the nostrils, the gastrointestinal tract, via the food, the genitourinary tract, via sexual contact. Now, among this different mucous membrane of this different organ system, which do you think would be the most commonly used portal of entry by the microorganism? The respiratory. Why? Yung spores. Continuous ang pag-ingat. Continuous daw, hindi man tumitigil. Okay? So, remember, for example, a particular animal, let's say, a pig na lang, for example. Okay? So, your pig can consume around, let's say, 4 kilograms of feed per day. Okay? It can consume 4 kilograms lang. In terms of water, maybe around 8 liters. Lalo kung summer, na marami. But in terms of air, it can consume around 40 liters of air per day. So imagine that amount. Sabi nga niya, continuous ang breathing ng animal. Okay? The animal can survive for several days without food. For several days without water. But not even an hour without air. Okay? So that's why the respiratory tract is the most commonly used portal of entry by the microorganism. Because every living organism may require air for their subsistence. Okay? Now, the skin can also be used as a portal of entry. Diba? For example, chickenpox. Diba? So, pwede yun. Direct contact, skin-to-skin contact, or parenteral route. Ibig sabihin, okay, this agent must be inoculated, okay, particularly on the subcutaneous tissue, before they can initiate an infection. Okay? So, we have this portal of entry. So, meaning to say, okay, from the environment now, okay, the microorganism, okay, has gained access to the host, utilizing any of this portal of entry. Okay? So, may disease na? Wala pa. Okay? So, another important requirement is the number of invading, okay, microorganisms. Gaano karami? We have discussed last time that certain agents, such as, sabi natin dati, E. coli 0157, E7, okay, even our Shigella organisms, may require only 10 microorganisms to cause disease. Okay, but other organisms may require several thousands or even millions to cause a particular disease. So, iba-iba. Okay? That's why, for every organism, we have what we call infectious dose. Diba? Sa pharmacology, kita nyo, for example, meron ng mga lethal dose, infectious dose, right? For example, you've heard, for example, of ID50. Ibig sabihin ID50. Infectious dose 50, which means, ano lang?
Infectious dose 50 yung dose na mag-infect ng around 50% ng population.
So basically, this is the number of microorganisms that would be required to cause an infection to 50% of the host population. Okay? So ganun. Sabi natin, this may range from 10 to several millions of microorganisms to cause an infection. And we also have our LD50. Okay? LD50 is the lethal dose 50. Okay? Ibig sabihin, the number of microorganisms that is required to cause death in 50% of the population. So meaning to say that if the LD50 of this microorganism is low, then does it have more virulence or less virulence? When more virulence. Mas virulent kasi konti ang kailangan to cause death of 50% of the population. So therefore, it is more virulent compared to those organisms with higher LD50. Okay? So those kind ng ating organism. Okay? Next, sufficient na yung number. May disease na? Wala pa rin. Another important factor is adherence. Adherence. So the organism must adhere to the recipient host or the recipient host cells to cause an infection. Kailangan mo na siya mag-adhere. Why? Take note, sabi natin dati, that we have our normal defense mechanisms. For example, if this pathogen entered the host via the gastrointestinal tract, our defenses is to eliminate that agent via stomach acids. Sige, kung nakaligtas pa si stomach acids, via naka-escape pa rin doon. Pa-flush. By flushing. It has to be flushed out through the gastrointestinal tract by means of diarrhea. That's why diarrhea is not itself a disease. Diba? It could be a defense mechanism of the host to get rid of microorganisms that gain access via the gastrointestinal tract. Okay? If that would be from the genitourinary tract, another way of flushing is by urination. Okay? So, pwede yun. Now, ano yung tatawag nating adherence? Yan. So, in order for a microorganism to cause disease, it must adhere specifically to epithelial tissues. Otherwise, they can be flushed out of the body. So, kailangan na mag-adhere. Okay? So, anong kailangan ng organism? Kaya para mag-adhere, biofilm, flagella, pili, the pili or the fimbria. Okay, so these are required by the organism to attach to epithelial cells. Okay? Kailangan nyo mag-adhere. So therefore, for adherence, our microorganism would require adhesins. Adhesins. Kung merong adhesins, kaya ang ating microorganism, therefore, there is corresponding receptor from the host cells. So, iba-iba yan. Okay? So, for example, your Vibrio cholerae na organisms, okay? So this particular organism is the major cause of cholera in human. Okay? So this would require N-methylphenylalanine, N-methylphenylalanine as adhesing pili. Right? Meaning to say that the pili of this particular organism is mainly composed of this protein, N-methylphenylalanine. Okay? So, it has a corresponding receptor on the host cell, particularly on the intestinal cell of the host. And that basically is made up of glucose and mannose compounds. Okay? So, generally, our organisms will have protein, a lipoprotein, for example, as their adhesins. While our host cells would require sugars as receptors. So that would be a generality for most of the microorganisms in the host cell or epithelial cells. Okay, so again, our microorganisms would require adhesins to attach to a particular receptor or of the host cell in order for them not to be flushed out by the normal defense mechanism of the host. Okay, now let us assume the organism has gained entrance to the host. There is sufficient number that they adhere to the epithelial cells of the host. May disease na? Wala pa rin. Ano requirement, ano? Okay. So they need to evade the host defenses. Okay? And again, our microorganisms will have different mechanisms of evading the host defenses. One of them would be capsules. We have discussed the role of capsule, being anti-phagocytic. So therefore, the first line of defenses, our neutrophils or phagocytes cannot engulf our microorganisms because of this very large capsule. Okay? While some other organisms will have certain cell wall components, particularly true for our mycobacteria, the causative agent of tuberculosis, the causative agent of leprosy. So basically, these microorganisms possess mycolic acid. Okay, so that mycolic acid, and still, some of them may utilize enzymes. Kaya mga enzymes na yan. Some of them are in the form of leukocidins. So leukocidins. So these enzymes are considered virulent factor or virulent attribute of our organisms. So they may be possessing leukocidins from the term itself. Leuco referring to the white blood cell, siding, sidal, okay, to kill. Okay, so this basically is an enzyme, okay, that may destroy or kill, okay, the neutrophils or white blood cells in general. Okay, so okay, practically, okay, they damage the neutrophil membrane, and may even lead to the neutrophil discharging some lysosomal enzymes, so making them, okay, unable, okay, to do its function, which basically, okay, to phagocytize and neutralize our microorganism. They may also have hemolysins. Okay, so these hemolysins practically would kill, okay, or degrade the membrane of red blood cells. Okay? Pero red blood cell, bakit kailangan patayin ng red blood cell? For in fact, they do not have phagocytic function. Dada ng oxygen. Eh kung pinatay ko yung host, baka mamatay din sila. Okay? Because of particularly the iron. Okay? So this is essential, okay, such that the red blood cells will liberate iron, which is also an important component, okay, of, okay, the bacterial cell. Okay? So kailangan silain, okay, ang mga red blood cell. They may also produce coagulase. Okay, term cell protein, para sa kaya siya? Pag-coagulate ng dugo. Okay, so basically, these enzymes are necessary to convert fibrinogen into fibrin. Bakit? Bakit kailangan mag-blood clot? Mas maraming access sa iron? Blood clot naman. Bakit kaya? To isolate the organism. Okay, imagine if these microorganisms are within, okay, the bloodstream. Okay? So they may be attacked by your phagocytes, the phagocytic cells. So okay, they will produce coagulases in order to initiate a coagulation pathway for the conversion of fibrinogen to fibrin. Hence, this fibrin will serve as their shield. Their shield from the phagocytic cells of the body. Okay? They also have bacterial kinases. Oh, ito naman. Kinases. Para saan yun? Movement. Kanina, coagulases important for the production of blood clot. But this one, ito yung opposite. Ito naman, necessary to dissolve clot. Okay? Dissolve clot. It is essential for the conversion of plasminogen to plasmin, okay, which dissolves clot. Bakit naman? Para makagalaw. So remember that clotting is also one of the host defenses. That is to limit the spread of microorganisms. Pero gagawin naman is to dissolve the clot being produced by the host cell such that they can escape from the clot and they can spread to other parts of the body. Okay, so therefore, this can be considered as one of the spreading factor of the microorganism. Okay? Meron pa, hyaluronidase. Ano naman yung para sa hyaluronic acid? Huh? That's to degrade hyaluronic acid, which is, saan ba yung connective tissue? Paano nila connective tissue? This is considered as an intercellular cement. Okay? Intercellular cement. Okay? Doon sa ating connective tissue. So therefore, this may bind one cell to the other in your tissue. Yung connective tissue. So therefore, this is also considered a spreading factor. Okay? If that hyaluronic acid is broken, then this will give Okay? Chances for the microorganism to spread to nearby or surrounding tissue as well. Okay? Collagenases. Collagenases. So this may dissolve the collagen framework again of your connective tissue. So therefore, again, this is considered a spreading factor as well. Diba? Puro ganun ka lang ginagawa, no? Mga pang-spread. Lacidinases and phospholipase. Ano yan? Saan yan? Oh, lecithin. Hindi alam sa lecithin? No? And it's part of the phosphatidylcholine. Phosphatidylcholine. Saan yung phosphatidylcholine? Nakita? Sa liver? Yes. Saan nga? Saan yun? Phosphatidylcholine. Choline. Oh? Phospholipids. What are the phospholipids? Phosphatidylserine, phosphatidylethanolamine, phosphatidyllecithin or choline. Diba? So this is one of your phospholipids which are found in the cell membrane. Diba? So therefore, this may tend to destroy the cell membrane, allowing it to spread as well. Okay? So, napakarami pa. Okay? In fact, meron pa diyang mga tinatawag na DNases. Okay? Mga DNases. Para saan naman ito? DNA? DNases. Para saan ka ito? Pampa? No, ito pwede. Kapag one DNA, so not necessarily. So, basically, this lowers the viscosity of the exudates, allowing the microorganism to spread freely from the exudate. Remember, when we have our exudates, so in pathology, ano component ng exudates? Ha? Ano component? Bakit ba kayo exudate? Pus. Anong meron sa pus? Dead white blood cell. Ano meron sa dead white blood cell? Huh? So? DNA. Yung other red blood cells, they are devoid of nucleus. Therefore, wala siyang DNA. Pero ating white blood cells, rich in DNA because they are nucleated. Okay? So therefore, most of the exudates, particularly sa mga pus, okay, they are practically high in viscosity. Diba? So napakalapot. So mas mahirap gumalaw kaya ang ating microorganism. If they have this DNases, then this lowers the viscosity of the exudate. So therefore, our microorganisms can move freely from that liquid. Okay? So yan. Dami-dami. Okay? So meron na kaya tayong infection? Sorry. Wala pa. Okay, meron tayong disease? Wala pa. So pa. So after that, should damage the host cells via either direct damage, production of toxins, and in some, even the hypersensitivity reaction that will be produced on the host. Just para na mas makita natin, no? So coagulases dissolves blood clot, such as microorganisms, can spread. Okay? O, ito ba na yun? Ang coagulase para mag-shield. Okay? Dissolves blood and streptokinase. Okay, and we have several enzymes such as hyaluronidase, which dissolves intracellular, tissue cement, we have our DNases, and the like. Okay. Now, sabi natin, okay, our microorganisms can cause direct damage or okay, probably okay, the disease is brought about by the toxins, either in the form of exotoxin and endotoxins. Kaya ba pala yun? Exotoxins. Mga exotoxins. Okay, so basically, these are toxins produced by the microorganism and released into the environment. Okay? So, nasa host siya o release into the bloodstream, for example. Okay? So, cell wall are generally proteins that are released by the cell itself. Meaning to say that a living cell or living microorganism is able or should release this exotoxin. So again, even if it is alive, it is able to release toxins in the form of exotoxin. Ano ba example ng ating exotoxin? Example, alam niyo yung toxin? Tetanus toxin, for example, which is released by Clostridium tetani, okay, para mag-cause ng paralysis in the host. So these are exotoxins. Kung kaya kayo nagtatae, for example, merong nagsisecrete ng enterotoxin. So mechanism of action, okay, is able to cause diarrhea. For example, yung Staphylococcus. They may secrete enterotoxin to cause staphylococcal food poisoning. Okay? Yung Salmonella, yung E. coli can also produce enterotoxin. Okay? Yung sinasabi natin tetanus toxin, this is a neurotoxin because ang target niya basically is the nervous system. Okay? Now, in contrast to endotoxins, ano may endotoxins? Nasa loob? Sabi niya. Okay? The endotoxin is actually the lipid A moiety of our LPS ng lipopolysaccharide portion, okay, ng ating cell wall. So therefore, this is not produced by the microorganism to be released in the environment. But this will only be released upon lysis of the organism. Okay? Lysis. Ibig sabihin, pag namatay kayong ating organism, that is the only time where it will release kay endotoxin. Kaya nga, di ba? Kaya sa chemotherapy natin dati, ano? Kaya sabi natin, we should know kay kung ano yung organism, kay before natin magamit kung ano yung kay necessary antibiotics. For example, kay this particular disease caused by gram-negative organism, and the disease is usually brought about by endotoxins. Therefore, we should not kill the microorganism using cidal drugs, but instead, we use static drugs. Kasi we don't want endotoxins to be released after the death of the microorganism. Okay? So these are just the differences between exotoxin and endotoxin. Sabi natin, exotoxins generally proteins, lipopolysaccharide ang ating endotoxins, specifically the lipid A. Okay? Exotoxins are heat labile. When I say heat labile, that means na-denature. It is easily be degraded by heat. It is being inactivated by heat. While the toxins are stable. Okay? Stable siya with high temperature. That's why, diba? For example, in the case of botulism, okay? Botulism from canned foods, yung mga dilata natin, diba? Minsan, after the expiry, or even before the expiry date, minsan nababudge yung lata. Diba? Kasi nga, meron yung Clostridium botulinum na organism Kaya nagpo-produce ng toxins. Kaya nga ang advice, huwag kakain ng dilata directly from the can. But instead, we have to heat them. At least heat them. Kahit hindi boiling. Because some of them can be destroyed by around 60 degrees Celsius or more. Okay, so at least man lang init. Okay, that will kill the toxin or that will inactivate the toxin. Okay, again, those are really bad. Okay, so exotoxins are actively secreted by cells and diffused into the surrounding, while endotoxins, these are just part of their crystal wall. So exotoxins are readily separable from cultures by physical means such as filtration, while endotoxins can only be obtained by cell lysis. Okay? Exotoxins, action are often enzymatic. Okay, so enzymatic ang kanyang action. It's a conversion of one inactive form to an active form. Okay? And exotoxins have a specific pharmacological effect. For example, sabi natin kanina, okay, some of them are considered enterotoxin, okay, causing diarrhea. Some of them are neurotoxins. Kasi ang kinukostan niya ay nervous dysfunction. Okay? But endotoxins, generally, they have non-specific actions. And almost all endotoxins would have the same effect. Halos pare-pareho ang effect niya. Okay? So, okay, exotoxins have specific tissue affinity. Again, endotoxins, wala. Okay? Exotoxins are active in very minute doses. Kahit konting-konti lang. Okay? While large doses usually are required for our endotoxin to cause a disease. Okay, dahil lang, our exotoxins are highly antigenic. When we say highly antigenic, that means antigenic. It is able to induce an immune response. Meaning to say that this exotoxin we can derive an antitoxin against our exotoxin. That's why we have our tetanus antitoxin, for example. Kasi it is highly antigenic, then that will induce an immune response. So therefore, we can create a vaccine or a bacteria out of that particular substance. Pero in terms of endotoxins, wala. Okay? It is unable to stimulate an immune response. Therefore, we cannot create a vaccine or an antitoxin against an endotoxin. Okay? So, wala pa nun. Okay? So, again, so exotoxins are produced by both gram-positive and gram-negative organisms, while endotoxins are produced only by gram-negative organisms. Okay? Because only gram-negative organisms have LPS. Okay? Exotoxins are peculiarly controlled by extrachromosomal genes, such as the plasmids, while endotoxins are synthesis are directed by the chromosomal genes. So these are the some of the exotoxins. Botulinum toxin is produced by Clostridium botulinum. It is a neurotoxin. The toxin binds to the axon near the neuromuscular junction and therefore preventing the release of acetylcholine. Take note, acetylcholine is necessary for muscle contraction. So therefore, the muscles cannot contract. Okay? Muscles do not contract. So therefore, the death of an individual would be brought about by bakit nakakamatay yun? For example, kumain ka ng dilatan, hindi na pakuluan, nagkaroon ng botulism. Namatay ka because of hindi makahinga. Because of paralysis. Particularly paralysis of the lungs, the diaphragm, okay? Ng respiratory muscles, which include your diaphragm, your intercostals, At pag hindi nag-move yan, ay siya, hindi ka makakahinga. Okay? So that will result in death. Okay? So this type of paralysis is known as flaccid paralysis. Okay? That is in contrast with our tetanus toxin, which is produced by Clostridium tetani. Again, it's a neurotoxin. So the toxin acts again on the CNS to prevent the release of glycine. Basta mag-glycine. Huh? Saan natin glycine? In physiology. Huh? Saan naman yun? Okay. So, when this is your axon, okay, sabi natin, para magkaroon ng contraction, kailangan ng acetylcholine must dock into the membrane, particularly the neuromuscular junction, to cause contraction of this muscle, right? And to stop contraction of the muscle, ano naman kailangan? Acetylcholinesterase? Ano? Paano titigil? Yan. Take note that we also have inhibitory interneurons. Okay? So these inhibitory interneurons naman will secrete, within the vesicle as well, will secrete glycine and GABA. Ito naman ang ating mga neurotransmitter to stop muscle contraction, kasi this will prevent the release, subsequent release of acetylcholine. So that will stop muscle contraction. So, anong ginagawa niya? Sabi niya, piniprevent ang release noon. So therefore, hindi nagko-contract. Nagko-contract. Okay? So there's continuous contraction of muscles. At ang ano nito is, there is simultaneous contraction of opposing muscles. Meaning, muscles with opposing function. For example, your flexor and extensor. Diba? Usually, kapag normal, kapag na-contract ang flexor, relax ang extensor. Diba? Pero in this case, there is simultaneous contraction of opposing muscle. Kaya ano usual nakita niyo sa libro na manifestation kaya na may tetanus. Diba? There's paralysis tapos contracted lahat ng kanyang muscle. Huh? Okay. And that type of paralysis is known as spastic paralysis. Okay? Yung kanina, flaccid paralysis, walang contraction. Ito naman, spastic paralysis. Contraction of opposing muscles. Okay? Again, exotoxin yan. There's Clostridial toxin from Clostridium perfringens. So, the mechanism basically is just a phospholipase. So, therefore, this may damage the membrane of cells, particularly blood cells and even on tissues. Anthrax toxin, okay, produced by Bacillus anthracis. Okay, again, this may act on the CNS as well. Okay, but what is interesting with this anthrax toxin is that most of the toxins that we discuss, sabi natin, are basically made up of carbohydrates. Okay? But this one, this is made up of protein. Okay? So, it is only toxin made up of protein. Ito ang ginagawa niya. Okay? Sabi niya, unknown, but there are different mechanisms. In fact, if an individual has anthrax, usually the main manifestations would be bleeding at the normal body orifices. For example, nabibleed sa tenga, sa ilong, sa mata. Okay? At the same time, there is no rigor mortis. Ano yung rigor mortis? Huh? Stiffening of the muscle after death. Meaning to say na hindi tumitigas kay ang muscles after death. Okay? So that's one of the effects of our anthrax toxins. What else? Staphylococcal enterotoxin, being an enterotoxin. So this may stimulate the emetic center, okay, particularly the CTZ, chemoreceptor trigger zone. Okay, at the same time, this may cause diarrhea. Okay? Pantone-Valentine factor causes the granulation of leukocyte. Basically, that is a leukocyte. Yes? An LT toxin, meaning heat labile toxin. Okay, because our E. coli, okay, is able to produce different toxins, okay, different exotoxins. Some of them are heat stable, and some of them are heat labile. So this heat labile toxin or LT toxin activates the enzyme adenylate cyclase system, increasing the level of cyclic AMP. So when the level of cyclic AMP is increased, this would tend to open the cystic fibrosis transmembrane conductance regulator. Okay. This will cause the opening of chloride channels, okay, as well as sodium channels. Take note, okay, ang effect niyan is on the enterocytes or the intestinal epithelial cells. So therefore, if within the intestinal epithelial cells, okay, sabi natin, okay, causes the opening, okay, of sodium and chloride channels. So therefore, sodium and chloride ions will remain at the lumen. So kung may sodium and chloride ions in the lumen of the intestine, this will dehydrate. This will attract water because of the osmotic pressure they created. So therefore, this may cause watery diarrhea. Okay, kaya nagtatae. Okay, so because of that mechanism. Okay. Now, for the endotoxins, sabi natin, regardless of what organism is involved, pare-pareho lang yung kanyang effect. Okay, they do have the same effect, pyrogenicity. Pyrogenicity meaning the organism is able to cause fever. Okay? It's able to cause fever. Certain blood changes, okay, particularly an increase in the number of leukocytes. Okay? Pinapadami ang leukocyte, okay, in the circulation. It may damage the thrombocyte and increases the permeability of blood capillaries. So when the permeability of the blood capillaries increase, then, ang pwede mangyari? Water will move out. Water, the electrolytes will move out. So therefore, kung lumabas ang fluid from the blood vessel, ano nangyayari sa fluid in the blood vessel? Nilipat sa interstitium. So, ano mangyayari sa blood pressure? Tataas. Bababa. Kaya the blood pressure will drop significantly, resulting in shock. Okay? O hindi ganun shock. Ano? Okay. When I say shock, ibig sabihin, a reduction in tissue perfusion because of a reduction in blood pressure. Okay? Yan. So, same daw yung mechanism. Sabi natin, one of the effect is pyrogenicity or fever formation. So, bakit? Again, natin. Okay. So, if this is your polymorphonuclear cell, let's say a macrophage or a neutrophil, as it engulfs your bacterium, a gram-negative organism in particular, this will lead to the release of endotoxins. Okay? Kasi nga, nalibre ang endotoxins from their cell wall. Okay? So, kaya ano mangyayari? So, this will travel to the bloodstream. At the same time, your white blood cell will release a chemical messenger known as interleukin-1. So, this interleukin-1 will travel to the bloodstream and reaches the hypothalamus. Take note that the hypothalamus is the one that regulates temperature. Para sa form of a thermostat. So therefore, this may raise the thermostat, particularly increasing the temperature. Kaya nagkakaroon ng fever. And this does not happen when you have infection with gram-positive organism. Kasi gram-positive organism generally produces only exotoxin. So therefore, if there is a case of food poisoning, for example, sabi natin, food poisoning could be brought about by either gram-positive organism or gram-negative organism. Okay? Pwede siyang, hindi natin kanina, brought about by Staphylococcus. Pwede siyang brought about by E. coli. Now, as an epidemiologist, how can you differentiate, or when can you tell that this food poisoning is brought about by a gram-positive organism or a gram-negative organism? Yan lang. Tingnan nyo lang. If the diarrhea, for example, diarrhea with vomiting is associated with fever, then more likely is brought about by gram-negative organism because of the endotoxin. Pero kung wala, pagsuka, pagdatain, more likely is brought about by an endotoxin brought about by gram-positive organism. Yes? Go ahead. Parang nanunan ka. Testing lang. Okay. Yan, ano? Kaya ang mga effects, pwede mo stimulate ang blood clotting, internal hemorrhage, inflammation. Okay? So, kasama na dyan, kaya because sabi natin, nag-increase ang permeability ng membrane of capillaries, so, namamaga. Okay? And again, hypotension or reduction in blood pressure. Okay, yun, may sakit na. Okay, ano kailangan nyo yun? Now, our microorganism has to exit naman from the host. Kailangan niyang lumabas, ano? Bakit? Bakit kailangan niya maghawa? Para lang siyang manatiling buhay. Ay, para manatili ang kanilang species. Otherwise, kung namatay ang host, ano isa mamatay? Wala na. Okay? So, for the perpetuation of the species, it has to exit from the host. Again, to infect other individuals. Okay? Now, most of the time, if your organism that you have isolated is in laboratory medium, so eventually they will lose their virulence. Nawawala yung virulence nila. Okay? Kaya yung mga isolate natin dyan, matagal na, for example, nawawala ka ng virulence. So, you need to be passage to other cells. So, yung pag-infect ng ating organism from one individual to the other is a form of passage. Okay? Para ma-retain kay ang kanilang virulence or pathogenicity. Okay? So, just the same, they may use the respiratory tract as the core that exist by coughing, sneezing. The gastrointestinal tract, genitourinary tract by the secretions, the skin, and even by the blood through mga biting arthropods. Needles and pharyngeal. So, stages of health diseases. For a particular disease, has to follow these stages. For example, first we have our incubation period. Familiar naman tayo with the incubation period. It's the time between the initial infection and the first appearance of clinical signs or manifestation. So that would be the incubation period. So probably, Ay, kung may mga sipon na ngayon, kasi uso-uso ang sipon, sa ngayon, wala pa na-manifest, baka nag-incubate. Diba? So, parang gano'n, ano? Kaya probably, some of you are already incubating the disease. Tama? Tapos, na-stress, mamaya, dahil sa exam, mag-full blown na bukas, o absent na bukas. Ayan. Okay? Kaya dapat, siya. Okay? So, again, incubation period. Okay? This is followed by the prodromal period. Prodromal. Ito naman, the period, manifested by the first appearance of clinical signs and symptoms. And usually, the animal will have mild symptoms. For example, nag-start na siya na umupo, nag-start tumulo ang ilong, okay? Dahil sa sipon, yung nagkakasinat na, so that will be your prodromal period. This is then followed by the period of illness. Na, there's an increase in the number of microorganisms. Okay? Dito na namamanifest ang pinakamalalang symptoms. Okay? Most severe signs and symptoms. So after that, you have a period of decline. Okay, so declining the severity of symptoms. Okay? Bumababa na yung temperature, okay? Hindi na masyadong masakit, yung lalamunan, and the like. Okay, then, the period of convalescence. Yun na. This is the time until the body returns to the pre-disease state. Okay, wala nang ubo, wala nang lagnat, okay na. Okay, so that will be your period of convalescence. Okay, now, hindi tayo pwede makampante sa period of convalescence because there are certain disease na mas nakakahawa if the host is in the period of convalescence. So, meron mga ganun disease. Meron mga iba, nandito ang pinaka-nakakahawa. Okay, so that would be depending on what particular disease. So, classifying disease, symptoms, changes in body functions. When we say signs, these are measurable or observable signs. Kasi pag sinabi niyo, ano pa mga sintomas? Ay, malungkot, matamlay. Pero ano sign ay, may temperature siya na 39 degrees Celsius. So that would be a clinical sign. Okay? So it should be measurable. And when we say a syndrome, a specific group of symptoms that and signs that always accompany a disease. Ito na, yung sama-sama. May lagnat, pagka may trangkas, for example, may lagnat, may sipon, masakit ang kasukasuan, and the like. So these are syndromes. Okay, so characteristics of one particular disease. A disease can be communicable, contagious, or non-communicable. Pareho naman yun. Kasi communicable disease is spread from host to host either directly or indirectly. Okay? So pwedeng by direct contact, o kaya the organism is being spread through the air. Yun. So communicable disease ang tawag doon. Okay? Contagious disease is that easily spread from animal to animal. Pagkaiba nun. Parang sinabi lang natin that the causative agent is being transmitted from one host to the other. Communicable, contagious. Pero ang difference kayo ng dalawa. Huh? Ang difference. So usually with communicable disease, most of the time, this is transmitted indirectly. But a contagious disease, this is transmitted by direct contact. Okay? So direct contact from host to host. And of course, kung non-communicable, this cannot be spread from one host to another. For example, yung tetanus, yung ating botulism, hindi siya nakakahawa. Okay? So effects of disease, local infection. So the invading microorganisms are limited to small area of the body. Example, you have staphylococcal infection, for example, sa inyong mga sugat. from the boils, from the pimples, for example. Okay? So mga pyogenic microorganisms. So that would be a local infection, limited only to one area. For example, if you have a boil, for example, or a pus, the organism is limited via a pyogenic membrane in pathology, di ba? Kasi hanggang doon lang, it does not spread to other areas. The same is true with your pimple, di ba? So limited lang yun. Pisahin mo, nandun lang siya. Makakita ng pyogenic membrane. So nandun. Whereas it's systemic, the microorganisms or their products spread throughout the body. Kaya systemic, so pwede maka-infect in different organs or organ system of the body. Okay? Focal infection is a local infection that spreads to other areas of the body where they are also confined. So pwede yun. Okay? For example, infection in the tooth. Tapos, take note sa tooth cavity, ay merong connection sa mga sinuses. Diba? So, nagkaroon ka rin ng sinusitis. Kasi may communication on your tooth cavity from that of your sinuses. These are just terminologies. Bacteremia, presence of bacteria in the blood. You say emia in the bloodstream. Okay? Septicemia, yun na. Kaya the bacteria multiply in the blood and secretes toxin or anything. Okay? So nandun, napupuhay, dumadami. Okay? So septicemia, naging septic. Okay? Meron niya, of course, viruses, toxemia, kung toxin lang. Pwede walang microorganism, but toxin lang. Okay? Ang nandun sa bloodstream. Okay? So toxemia. Infection can be primary or secondary as well. We say primary infection is an acute infection that causes the initial infection. Kasi there are certain diseases which is caused by different sets of microorganisms or different stages of infection. Pwede nauna yung isang organism, then susunod yung isang organism. Okay? So for example, if you have, say, viral infection, let's say you have a common cold, for example, just a common cold. So you have this viral infection. But then again, pwede magkaroon ng secondary infection, and most commonly, this secondary infection is a bacterial infection. Because, again, of your initial infection, mga common cold, which usually produces mild disease or mild infection, however, ano sinisira niya? For example, the mucociliary clearance of the respiratory system. Diba? Hindi na gumagalaw yung mga silya, for example. Hindi na ma-eliminate ang mga exudate. So, you will be prone to secondary bacterial infection. Okay, so ano ganun? Subclinical, so one that does not cause any noticeable illness. Ibig sabihin, you have the infection, pero walang manifestations. Kaya nga, napakadelikado. Okay? Sometimes you have the clinical infection without manifestation, but you are excreting the microorganism. Okay? So wala kayong kalam-alam na katabi ninyo, si subclinical ay nagre-release na ng infectious agents. Okay? Severity, ito naman. Natin. Kung acute infection, so this develops rapidly, but lasts only for a short time. Pandalian lang. Kaya nga acute. Okay? Within 1 to 2 days, wala na infection. Chronic develops more slowly, and this is continual or recurrent for long periods. Example, tuberculosis. Ang tuberculosis, okay, buwan ay ang inaabot. Even years sometimes. Tapos yung medication, ay maabot ng 4-6 months, or even longer. Subacute, so a disease that is in between acute and chronic. Chronic na kung 2 weeks, acute 1 to 2 days, in between, that would be subacute. And latent, sabihin, the positive agent remains inactive for a time but becomes active again in certain triggers. Okay? Example, just kay shipping people. Okay? So, merong infection na maintain yung organism. Okay? Parang kayo, yung organism ay meron na kayong pagkakaunawaan. Okay? Nandun na siya. But then again, when there's certain trigger, for example, bumaba ang immunity dahil hindi kumakain ng tama. Okay? Hindi kumakain ng tama. Nawala ng sustansya sa katawan. Ayan. Na-trigger, naging active uli yung infection. Okay? So, tawag natin latent infection. So the rate at which this spreads and the number of animals involved are determined partly by the immunity of the population. Kaya familiar kayo sa term na herd immunity. Lalo na nung may COVID-19 pandemic. Diba, ginaya na sa atin, hindi naman herd ang tao, no? Pero nakoy dyan, galing sa mga animal. Herd immunity. So, ibig sabihin, yung purpose ng ating vaccination, di ba? Sabi, purpose ng vaccination, ang target natin ay, target natin basically ay ma-vaccinate ang karamihan. Nasa 100% of the population, but karamihan, around 70 to 80% of the population. So, paano nagkaroon ng herd immunity? Kung marami vaccinated, yung hindi na buhay saan? Wala yun. Sabi natin kanina, di ba? Very important yung passage ng virus from one host to the other. Okay? So, therefore, kung ito yung herd, lahat yan, meron ka isa na walang vaccine, susceptible, pero pasok dito ng iyong virus, protected. So, walang passage ng virus. So, eventually, mamatay yung infection. Okay? So, hindi nakarating doon kasi ang dami kailang nagre-resist ng infection. Okay? So, yung herd immunity. Last part, kay epidemiology. Studies epidemiology studies when and where diseases occur and how they are transmitted. So, yun lang ginagawa ng epidemiologists, pag-aralan. Okay? So, di ba dumami ang mga epidemiologists na nag-COVID-19 infection? Ang dami-dami ng mga tsoyang bawang. Pero siyempre, doon lang napag-aralan. Sino ba ang mga tinatamaan? Anong age group kaya ang tinatamaan? Diba? So, mga ganun bagay. So, epidemiologists look for factors and patterns concerning animals affected by the disease. Yan. So, he analyzes based on the susceptibility of the host, which would depend on the age, on the sex, history of immunization, etc. So they're more concerned only with prevention of the infection, in controlling the disease, controlling the spread, and preventing the spread. So knowing the characteristic of the disease, even the seasonal occurrences of the disease is being studied by epidemiologists. Alam natin, for example, na kapag ganitong panahon, mas dumadami ang may ubo, may sipon. Okay? So that is the common trend. So yung ginagawa ng epidemiologists, they're not concerned with the treatment, they just need to study the patterns of the disease. So occurrence of the disease, yung mga computations tayo dito. Incidence. So say incidence, there's a number of animals in a population that develop a disease within a particular time period. For example, within a year, kay anong incidence. And the prevalence ng number of animals in a population that develop a disease at specified time, regardless of when it first appeared. Okay? So, so, let's sampal natin. Ang gusto yung sakit. Ang gusto yung sakit, ilagay natin. Ha? Oh. Ano? H1 and look. Kasi pag gagawin, hindi masyadong mag-find. Parvo daw. Sige, parvo. Okay. Let's say, in your hospital, may hospital siya, no? Okay. In 2022, sabihin natin, okay, sa kanyang hospital, okay, the admitted patient, sabihin natin, so around 500 ang admitted patients. Okay. And among the 500, okay, let's say 25 kay ang may kay parvo. Okay? So, in that particular year, okay, what is the prevalence of parvoviral infection during that particular year? 25%? 5%. Ano ito? 5%. So, 25 divided by 500, this percentage, times 100. So, that would be 5%. So, therefore, during that period, 5% yung prevalence ng parvoviral infection. Now, noong 2023, so nag-increase ang number of cases, so nasa hospital na ay 700. Tapos, let's say, naging 30 yung cases ng parvovirus. So, during 2023, what is the prevalence? So, around 4%. So, 4%. So, meron siya 4% lang. 5%. So, naging 4% na lang yung prevalence of parvoviral infection. So, I mean to say that within that particular year, there's only 1% difference and practically a decrease by 1% in the total number of cases. Okay? So, pwede natin siyang gawin in terms of population. So, pwede natin gawin siya per 1,000 or per 100,000. Let's say you have 4%. Okay? So, the prevalence of parvoviral infection per 1,000 population is ilan yun per 1,000 population? Kasi most of the time, sa human, this is expressed in per 100,000 per million. This is kung konti ang population, so karami yun. If you have 4%, ibig sabihin 4 per 100. So, gawin per 1,000, ibig sabihin 40 cases per 1,000. Just simply multiply by 10 as well. Okay? Okay, so ano na ngayon yung ating incidence? Ano yung ating incidence? Ano yung ating incidence? Specific sa time, let's say, for a period of 1 year, ano yung ating incidence? Ano? 5. Okay. So, how can you express that? Then, how can you express that per number of population? 5. Kasi there's a change. From 2022 and 2023, Merong condition na 5 cases, sabi nga dyan, regardless of when it first appeared, basta during that particular period, 5. Out of the total population, kanya 700, that would be ilang percent? 0.7%. Okay? So 5 divided by 700, 0.7%. And again, expressed in thousand population. Okay? That is 7 animal per 1,000 animal population. So, ibig sabihin, ganyan karami ang nagkakaparmo during the span of 1 year. Okay? For a period of 1 year. Okay? So, gandang ang pag-compute ng ating hate incidence. Okay? Marami kaya? Mababa kaya yan? Relatively mababa pagka ganyan, makita natin. Okay. So, we also have, we can express the severity of the disease based on their morbidity and mortality. Based on morbidity, the incidence of a specific notifiable disease. Meaning to say, a particular disease, ilan yung nagkaroon ng symptoms. Okay? Nagkaroon disease related to symptoms. Mortality, death from that particular disease. Okay? Kung ilan yung namatay. So therefore, we can compute for the morbidity rate. The morbidity rate is the number of individuals affected over a total population over a given period of time as well. So morbidity rate. For example, within this classroom, kayo, let's say, nasa 105 na lang kasi nag-drop na yung iba. Okay? 111 kayo nag-start kasi. Okay? So 105. Okay? From here, kahit dahil ngayong season, nakailan pa. Okay? So, meron sa inyo na 65 ay nagkasipon. Okay? So, ano morbidity rate nun? 65 kay over the total population. Ilang percent? 65 over 105. Wow! Kaya ang morbidity rate, after na isang, kaya ay naging 62%. Pero na kaya yung natsugi. So yun ang mortality rate. Sa total population, ilan kayo namatay. So that would be the mortality rate. And again, this can be expressed also pagka sa mga statistics, ano? Per 1,000 population, per 100 population, and etc. Sporadic diseases, disease that only occurs occasionally, not predictable. Sporadic lang ang occurrence. Pagsulpot-sulpot lang. Kaya walang seasonal variation. Endemic, a disease constantly present in a population. Endemic. For example, ano ba? Kaya ang mga diseases na endemic sa Pilipinas. TB. Napaka-endemic pa rin sa Pilipinas ng TB. Okay lang. Kasi kasama yung sa mga requirement. Kailangan negative ka for tuberculosis kasi endemic dito. Okay? Rabies is also endemic in the Philippines. Kaya yung mga aso na dadali sa ibang bansa, okay, kailangan certified na meron silang rabies vaccine. Okay? Also in India, napataas ng rabies. Ano po endemic? Epidemic. Many animals in a given area acquire a certain disease. Okay? Nagkaroon tayo ng epidemia. Diba? So, napakaraming area in the world ang affected. Kaya ng, for example, ng COVID. Kaya although may mas malala, pandemic. Ito talaga buong mundo. So, nag-start, wala pa sa Pilipinas. Kaya ng ating COVID, di ba? Kaya wala pa sa ibang bansa until naging pandemic na because kaya the entire world kaya ay nagkaroon ng disease. So, epidemic disease that occurs na worldwide. Okay? So the most common pandemic na natin, basically, yung influenza. Okay? So marami yan nag-cause ng death sa ibang bansa. Spanish flu, for example, wiping so much population in Spain, and ulipat sa ibang mundo. Bubonic plague, for example, okay, that wiped out almost 1/3 of European population. Okay. So reservoir of infection is the continual source of the organism that cause a particular disease. So the source can either be living or inanimate. Okay? So pwede mo lang buhay ang pinanggalingan. Okay? It simply needs to provide the pathogen with adequate conditions for survival. Okay? So, for example sa inyo, okay, merong hindi na nawalan ng sipon. Ang sipon is all throughout the year, o pwede natin sabihin na siya reservoir ng cold virus. Ayan. Diba? Okay. O, yung mga marites na constant source kayo ng chismis, siya reservoir ng chismis. So, parang ganun din, no? Okay. So, reservoir of infection. So, transmission, so there are three principal routes, okay, of infection. Pwedeng through contact, indirect contact, or via droplet transmission. So, direct, for example, skin to skin. Indirect, pwedeng through panyo, for example. Panyo na ginamit ko dahil may sipon, pinahiram ko sa kanya. Okay? So, indirect contact. Kahit hindi kami magkatabi, pinahiram niya, okay, ginamit yung panyo. Okay? Or via droplet. Ito na yung humaching ako, wala kami contact, humaching ako, nag-spread. Kaya yung mga droplets, kayo na sipon, so naging source ng infection. So, animal to animal touching, transmission through fomites yung panyo, and droplets. Sa vehicle, transmission by a medium, such as water, food, and air. Sabihin, kung gusto ko magpakalat dito ng salmonella infection, meron ako spaghetti dito, lagyan ko ng salmonella, kain kayo, okay, so that food may serve as a vehicle for infection. Okay? Kaya, malay nyo sa inyong examination paper, maglagay ko ng anthrax okay, the spore nandun, alat na, so that would be a vehicle as well. Vector. So, mechanical transmission, so, meron tayong passive transport of organism on insect, the body, or the field. So, ibig sabihin, yung mga langaw, for example, tumapo sa dumi ng animal na ang daming organism, dumapo kayo sa inyo or sa food na kinakain ninyo, so that may serve as a mechanical vector. Okay? Pwede rin kayo biological transmission through insect bites. So, the mga malaria, for example, kumagat sa isang tao, may malaria, kumagat sa isang tao, so that would be a biological vector. Yan. So, ways of infecting microorganisms. Now, some organisms are destroyed by the host tissue. Pwede yun. Okay? Maganda kayo ang immunity. Okay? Kahit pinatsingan ka, kayo ng iyong katabi, pero active ang iyong mga phagocytes, active ang iyong mga lymphocytes, okay, so na-destroy na siya. Okay, so, some organisms usually are eliminated in the secretion or excretion of the host. Example, you have certain microorganisms, gold virus for example, humaching ka sa environment, humaching ka sa labas in particular, so they are being destroyed by sunlight. Okay, the ultraviolet light, so pwede yun. If the disease proves fatal, okay, to the host, many infecting organisms are destroyed within the carcass. One typical example of this would be sa ating anthrax. Diba? Pag may anthrax, yung animal, sabi, huwag bubuksan. Huwag ininecropsy. Okay? Dahil pag necropsy natin siya, yung organisms ay pwedeng mag-sporulate, may spread sa air at saka sa environment. Once nakakuha siya ng magandang medium, susceptible na host, ay pwedeng mag-germinate yung ating organism at mag-cause ng panibagong case. Okay? So, ang pinapagawa doon ay diretso living. Because the decomposition of the carcass itself might be too acidic, okay, to kill the pathogen. Okay? So, mabulok ang carcass, mabulok din o mamatay din yung organism. Okay? Yun. Or in some instances, the organism and the host reach an impasse. Ano sabihin nun? Nagkasundo para sa chest o stalemate. Okay? So, masok ka sa akin, pero hindi ako nagkakasakit. Okay? Wala. Kaya stalemate, tabla-tabla tayo. Okay? So, yun ang pwede mag-infect kaya na mga infecting microorganism. Yes?
Dok, hindi po ba pwede sunugin yung may anthrax? May anthrax.
Anthrax. Okay. Kung susunugin mo lang yung anthrax, okay, at what particular heat, kay temperature, kasi kay yung mga spores niyan, kay ay heat resistant din. Okay? Unless you have a controlled furnace, for example, an incinerator. Pagka may incinerator ka, masyado malaking gases doon. And, okay, kahit naman doon sa mga tao, okay, so, hindi basta-basta tayo bibigyan na kahit saan may incinerator. Okay, because of the Clean Air Act. Siyempre, kapag kami nakita, uy, umuusok na naman, meron na naman, sinusunod doon. So, pagkulan yan, dahil ng atensyon ng media. Okay? Question? Meron pa tayong ilang minuto? Hello? So, kay mamaya, exam is from 6 o'clock.
Husky.